Hey guys, welcome to the Accountability Masterclass Part 2.0. This is, of course, Dr. Argie, yours truly, and today we're going to be taking charge of your life through accountability. I see some folks that I know already on. We had some major tech challenges, but we are working it out. So I see that KD is on. Welcome to the Accountability Masterclass. KD, I see Melissa's on. Welcome. And Kimberly is on. I'm trying to make sure, but you guys do me a favor as we kind of wait for a few more people to join before we get started and put in the chat so everybody can see you because I'm not sure if you can see each other, but put in the chat who you are and where you're from. Because last time we actually had some folks from other states. I think we had somebody as far as unmute myself again. Hopefully you can hear me. Somehow I got muted. But if you guys can put in the chat where you're from before we sort of get started, that would be great. And how you found out about this masterclass, because this is actually the second of a series that we're doing. And the next one that we're actually going to be doing is, I think it's April 25th. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And that actually is going to be really interesting because it's going to be in person. It's going to be a little bit of a hybrid, 10 slots for in person, and then whomever else wants to join that is not in person. So let's see. I don't see anybody in chat, but I see we still have three folks. Yeah, three more folks that are on, Melissa, KD, and Kimberly Wimberly. So more people are going to join. I'll wait just one more minute, and then we're going to get started. Oh, okay, Kimberly Wimberly is reaching out to me saying the chat is disabled. Ugh, all right. We got to figure that one out. How is that possible? Let me reach out to Morgan. Can you reach out to Daryl and tell him that the chat function is disabled, which we really need the chat function to be working so that we can communicate. Can you do that for me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. All right. In the meantime, we're gonna get started. Hopefully, you all that are on right now, I think there's somebody else that's on, somebody's on by phone listening in. I can't see their name actually, but they are on as well. So I'm gonna move along while we hopefully can work out this chat function before we actually fully get started. But for those of you who already know, none of you were actually on the February 7th, so this is pretty cool. We're gonna just do a quick sizzle reel so that you get to know a little bit more about me. And then we're gonna go into some ground rules.
We're joined by Dr. Argie Allen Wilson. She's a family psychologist and her new book, Courageous Conversations Connect. Either we're going to out or we're going to act it out or act it in. And to answer their questions, Dr. Argie Allen Wilson, a relationship therapist who helps families overcome mental health challenges, including the challenges of screen time. She's also the author of Courageous Conversations Can Think. And what it ends into me, see, that's what LCBC means, right? And so then there's 4 I's. Remember, make it important. You have to value it. You have to be interested in it. You have to make time for it.
So then focus on the investment and then be intentional about it.
Children are experiencing relationship violence.
10% of children are experiencing some kind of hurt or injury.
You can win the game in the fourth quarter. You can win in overtime. But I'm sure 2%. You can't win the game if you're not in it. Hold on. You got to remember the phone is a powerful tool that you're putting in the hands of your children. It's like putting a 2-year-old in the driver's seat and saying, drive.
Yeah.
You're going to crash.
Come on, lead that race the journey. Let's take a ride. Dr. Argie in the house, prime, greeting, define, courageous combos. Open up your mind. Cause when you're in the place, everyone's free. Discipline, sowing seeds of unity. Every chatter, every clap. Plan hope and hearts with sincerity. Dr. Archie on the mic, setting minds free. Therapist supreme, sowing seeds of unity. Every chat, act, clarity, planting hope and hearts with sincerity.
All right, now that I see some more people on, I'm going to say welcome and thank you for showing up, not for me, but thank you for showing up for you. Why? Because this particular space is about honesty and courage and growth. And some people might ask, like, well, why did I choose this whole concept of accountability? Well, you all know I've been a therapist for many years. As a therapist, I have seen hundreds now, probably I'm going to say thousands of couples and individuals and children. I've worked in corporations, and one of the main things that I see is that people are not where they want to be, but it's not because they're focused on themselves. They're not, or other people, quite frankly. They're not where they want to be because of sometimes the lies that they tell themselves. Sometimes they're not really paying attention to what's going on the inside, if you will. Let's see if this chat function is working. Daryl's working on the chat. Not Daryl working on what? Okay, good. Daryl's working on that. That's excellent. I see a few more people. So welcome again, Kimberly, KD, Kimberly, Wimberly. Shout out to Maureen Booker. We call her Tracy, her soror. Welcome. My Melissa's on and Michelle. All right, cool. So back to this idea of why people don't show up for themselves. A lot of times it's a number of different things. But before we really get into that, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on some specific agreements. This particular session today, this accountability masterclass, we're going to have some agreements. And you're going to make these agreements with yourself. First, we don't shame. We don't shame or we don't blame. And too often we have some stinking thinking in our heads where we're blaming ourselves, we're shaming ourselves. If you are going to redirect your energy and focus on you, you got to do it without the blaming and the shaming. You got to give yourself grace. I talk about that all the time in my sessions. We give ourselves grace, but then we hold ourselves accountable. And this is not about fixing others. It's not even, quite frankly, about fixing you. This is about you focusing on the necessary things to get you to where you want to be. So I know that there was a show out called Ayanla Fix My Life, I think. And I always thought it was interesting, the concept of it, because I was like, well, who's going to be able to fix somebody else's life? We don't have that much power, but we can focus on what is it that we need to change in ourselves. Mahatma Gandhi says we must be the change we wish to see in others. And so that's what this is about. It's also about being radically honest with ourselves. It's about taking responsibility over blame, right? So that's one of the agreements. And staying curious. I always say stay curious, not furious, but we can't be defensive, right? If you start getting defensive, then you've focused on something else completely different than what the goal is. And then we got to speak from, in this session, speak from your own experience. Too often what we want to do, and we do it really well, is we like to focus on everybody else except for ourselves. and we like to project and deflect. And all that does is move the responsibility and accountability away from you and onto somebody else. So let's speak from our own experiences and let's get uncomfortable, right? Discomfort is a part of the transformation. And as long as you're comfortable, as long as you're in your comfort zone, you're not going to stretch yourself to get to where you really want to be. So those are our agreements. Hopefully the chat will end up working. In the meantime, we might do a little bit of something different in the chat, if you will. I see Francine is on, so welcome again, Francine. We got more people joining. So we've gotten through our agreements. If you go to the core question, I want to back up for a moment with agreements. And I'm going to ask, as many of you all know, not only as a therapist, but as somebody who does transformational work with many people, I like to get us grounded with this work. We're going to be together for a little bit. And so I'm going to ask everyone, and I can't see you, but you can see me, ground yourself so that you are wherever you're sitting, you're comfortable. Try to be in a place that is not disrupted by whatever is going on around you. And we're going to do a quick breath exercise. And we're gonna, if you've been in my sessions before, we actually pause in between some really hard stuff to do our breath work. And why is that important? Because we don't realize that the breath, the ability to breathe deeply, allows us to recalibrate. It also changes the parasympathetic nervous system, our central nervous system, if you will. It decreases our cortisol levels and our adrenaline levels. It increases our endorphins and our serotonin and our dopamine. And we have that available to us at our fingertips. So before we shift, I want everybody to sit relaxed, if you can, as relaxed as you can. Ground your feet to the floor. Relax your body if you can, right? And I'm going to ask you to follow me if you can actually see me. I'm going to raise my arms all the way to the top of my head. And I'm going to wiggle my fingers like this, like I'm stretching my hands to the sun. And then I ask people to just wave your arms like you're waving to an old friend, just like so, right? And as you're doing that, what you're doing is you're stretching while you're allowing your body to bring in more oxygen. Now, once you do that, I want you to plant your hands onto your lap. You can have the prayer position. You can have this relaxation meditation position, or you can just relax your hands to your lap. And I'm going to ask you to do some box breathing with me, right? In the box breathing, it is simply to breathe in at the sound of my voice when I count to 3, hold the breath for 2 seconds, and then breathe out for 4 to 6 seconds. And what that does is it intentionally brings oxygen into your body, allows you to think more clearly, allows the blood to flow more clearly, allows you to relax more clearly, more intentionally. All right? 1, 2, 3. Breathe in through the nose, 2 seconds, and breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Excellent. And as you relax your body, as you relax your shoulders, as you feel your breath inside of your body, as you feel your lungs expand, we're going to do a couple more breaths before we move forward, where we bring positive intentions into our body and breathe out negative intention. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in hope and breathe out fear. Breathe in peace and breathe out worry. Breathe in serenity and breathe out anxiety. Breathe in harmony and breathe out discomfort. And lastly, breathe in calm and breathe out despair. Excellent. Ashe, one more quick breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Good, 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 good. I hope that was good. Now, I think that Daryl might have been able to fix the chat. So if you guys could try the chat function. Morgan is asking you all if you are able to chat now. So if you can, please let us know. And Kimberly, you had let me know, Kimberly, that we weren't able to, the chat function didn't work. So you all can also text me if it's not working. All right. So I got a core question for you. We're gonna keep it moving here. In the last accountability, part one, I asked the question, who's really in charge of your life? And it was for the focal point of saying to yourself, holding yourself accountable, is fear in charge of your life? Because fear is often running the show. Chat is still disabled, according to Michelle. So Daryl has to still keep working on that. Thank you, Michelle. Fear can be running the show as opposed to hope. The past, I don't know if y'all ever saw The Lion King, but if I was thinking about that the other day, because when I was in graduate school, I wrote a paper on The Lion King. And I was fascinated with the story because Simba, if y'all remember, Simba was the little lion and Scar was the brother and Mufasa was the father. And Simba thought that he had killed his father, so he ran away. And he ran to this place where he was having a good time with Pumbaa and some other Timon. And they were like, don't worry, be happy. But the truth was that he was running away from his past. And how many of us, what's really running the show is all the mistakes that we've made in the past. Or maybe it's other people's expectations of ourselves. Maybe what's running the show is we really want to be comfortable. And the truth is, comfort is not necessarily the mission. I see his message, but cannot respond. Okay, chat's still not working. Thank you, Kimberly. We're going to keep working on that. But the bottom line is, and then thanks to warm welcome. Happy to be here. Okay. And Francine said, thanks for the warm welcome. We're going to actually improvise with this whole chat thing because the people right now that are on have my text. You have my cell phone. So if you want to put a chat in the phone, I'm checking my phone is right here. Put the chat in there. Okay. For the ones that have my number. Other people's expectations, comfort is running the show, avoidance. We're avoiding all the hard, courageous conversations. Or sometimes we just tell ourselves, I'm just waiting for the right time. But the right time is now, right? And it's now time to take action. And if you're running the show, right, you're in the passenger, not in the passenger seat, you're in the driver's seat, then that's great. But for some people, and I said this last time, God is running the show, right? But God says, I believe that faith without works is dead, and God bless the child that has his own. And so the truth is that we need to use our resources and our source, but we need to do the work, right? And then Francine said, my old beliefs are running the show. Thank you, Francine, for that. A lot of times that's very, very true. Our old beliefs are running the show. I call them the old tapes, and we're playing the tapes over and over and over. And it's our stinking thinking because sometimes the tapes say, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not going to write that book. I'm not going to go back to school. I'm not going to start that business because it failed last time. But how many of y'all know that no, there is no true failure other than never to try at all? That's the only true failure. Interesting enough, I heard a sermon many, many years ago. I think Pastor Waller preached the sermon, and he basically said that the sermon was called Failing Forward, right? And failing forward means that you've done something, you've tried it, you learned from it, and now you're ready to be retooled, refueled, rejuvenated, recalibrated, and move forward with all those lessons and all those teachable moments to execute. But sometimes we get discouraged and we got the naysayers, and then we step away, we withdraw, only to not move forward in a way that would allow us to be living our best lives. And we give away our power. That's what this is all about. This session, this accountability masterclass is about power. And who is in charge of your power? I want to talk about that for a minute because the truth is, and maybe some of you all can resonate with me, I gave my power away many years ago. Katie says insecurity is running the show. Thank you, Katie. She says insecurity because we are improvising here. So y'all are texting me who's running the show. And Katie said insecurity. The question is if it's whether it's Katie or it's with insecurity or Francine with the old beliefs, or if it's me, I'm going to tell you for me, what was running the show is fear of success. Go figure, right? Dr. Argie, been on national TV, traveled the world, done the darn thing, has multiple degrees, doing all the things that many of y'all would assume that God told me to do. But the truth is, there was some other things that God told me to do, and I said no because I was fearful, not so much of failure, because life had shown me in my experiences that the failure wasn't the thing. It was what happens if you succeed? What happens if you actually do the thing that God told you to do and you start winning? What is the, are people going to judge you? Are you going to lose your friends? Are you going to lose the people that have been with you because you're on a different level? And all of that paralyzed me. It paralyzed me so much, guys, that I actually began to lose power. So I know this story. It's not just the story of me talking to you about you. It's the story of me talking to you about me, and not just me talking about the clients that I've seen over the years. It's been my journey too. And that's why I feel like it's been so important for me to really use this as a platform to talk about what happens when we give away our power. Power, to the truth be told, it's always being exercised in our lives. The question is, who or what is exercising it? Are you or somebody else? Are you or your false beliefs? Are you or your sort of negative thinking, stinking thinking? What is exercising the actual power? Because we can take that power and we can use it for good or we can use it for bad. We can use that power to elevate or we can use that power to demote. We can use that power to appoint or we can use that power to disappoint. But it's all power. And the good news is if you gave it away, guess what? You can take it back. Um, KD, and we're using this text right now, says, also, I have a way, I have given away my power a long time ago. That's what KD said. So KD, here's the truth. You can take it back. That's what I mean by the good news is that the power is never meant to run out. Power doesn't run out. It's all energy. It is vibration. It's the vibration that is beneath you. It is behind you. It is in front of you. It is above you. It is all around you. And it's the vibration that ultimately elevates you. And so if you've given it away, it's time to take it back, right? So if this has value, right, then y'all got to send the link to the people that you may think could benefit from this powerful expenditure. Send the link to them. They can possibly still join or join the next one, which is April 25th. This really is for anyone. And here's the truth. Morgan and I have been working our butts off trying to bring value to all of you. The crew, y'all know, we were doing the podcast, we revamped it, we paused it, we were like, what could we do better? I'm going to ask you that same question. What could you be doing better? I was literally having a conversation with someone an old friend that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And this old friend said, I realize that I have been shutting everybody else out. And I have not allowed myself to be vulnerable because I'm scared that if I allow myself to be vulnerable, I'll get hurt again. And I said to this friend, I said, well, how's that working for you? And she said, it's not really working for me. And I said, then why do you keep doing it if it's not working for you? Does that ring a bell to anybody on this podcast? I mean, on this masterclass? Have you actually been doing a thing that you know is not working for you, and you keep doing it despite the internal knowledge that it's not working, regardless of that? Because when I used to work in addictions, they would say that Insanity is what? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I also like to say it this way. If you do what you've always done, then you're going to get what you always got. A third way to say that is if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And so the truth is, we've got to have that courageous conversation. You see the book behind me? The courageous conversation that connects with ourselves first and foremost, and ask ourselves, why do I keep spinning my wheels, cycling, the path, doing the same thing and expecting a different result? Francine says procrastination. That's one of the things that she's done to give her power away. Well, guess what? That's most of us. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, that really truly is most of us that procrastinate. And the question is, what is the procrastination about? Sometimes life just be lifing, right? That's as the young people say. And there's not a lot you can do about that. Somebody gets sick, somebody dies, you lose your job, you have a breakup. Life is lifing all the time, and it can be a speed bump. But don't let the bridge crumble completely and not allow you to get to the other side where you can pick up where you left off. Because that procrastination, it can paralyze you. And once it paralyzes you, many people withdraw, and it's hard to get back to where they were. So let's think about that. There's this idea of control, power, and control. But what about power versus control? To a certain degree, power actually equals choice. Why do I say that? Because the power that we have internally, it is up to us to make the right choices, right? And a lot of times when we actually want to hold on to the control, really it's about fear, right? I like to say fear is an acronym for you either forget everything and run, or you face everything and remain. And many of us forget everything and run. And so we're constantly every single day getting up, and we are paralyzed by fear. Fear of moving forward, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, fear that people won't like us, fear that we're not enough, fear that we're not valuable, fear that we're not worthy. Those are all ways that's the enemy that keeps us stuck in a holding pattern. And if some of you are flyers, right? You fly a lot, you know that you can't be in a plane in a holding pattern forever. Eventually you're going to run out of gas and you're going to crash. So the thing about a plane is it does two things. Well, it does more than two things, but I'm fascinated by aviation. The two things that I'm aware of is that it ascends and it descends. But if that plane, and I've only been a couple of times in a situation in a plane where it had to be in a holding pattern, I was very, very afraid, because I realized that eventually we will have to stop flying in a circle. Eventually we will have to either ascend and go someplace else to land, or land and land well where everybody is alive. But how many of you are circling the block? You've been in a holding pattern. You're moving, but you're not ascending. That is because you've not necessarily taken your power back and used it to make a choice. So avoiding a choice is still a choice. I want y'all to hear that really clearly. If you avoid choice because you're neutral, or you don't want to land anywhere, or you don't want to make a declaration, or you don't want to make a decision, then that's still a choice. That's a choice for you to wake up every day and not play full out. It's a choice for you to wake up every day and not get in the game. It's a choice for you to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else moving and you are not moving. Those are choices. And I heard someone say recently, I've been saying it a lot lately, it was a reel that I watched, and the reel was, when you're born, you look like your parents. When you die, you look like your decisions. And for many of us, we are actually still here breathing, but we're making decisions that are not allowing us to live the life that we are designed to live. So I'm going to ask you to ask yourself this question. When the audio doesn't match the video, And you got to ask yourself, be honest with yourself. Does your audio match your video? Your words say one thing when the audio doesn't match the video, and your actions say another. The accountability is when it's aligned. So put in the chat. Well, we don't have a chat yet. So those of you who have my number, text me. Text me, when have you said one thing and done another? What have you said that did not line up with what you did? An example for you all to glean from. Y'all, many of you all know this story. When I graduated from Howard, I worked in the field of mental health for about 7 years. I said that I was going to go back to school within 2. I was going to take a 2-year break. I was tired of school. And 7 years later, at the time I was 29, and how many of y'all know that when you're right going into another decade, right? I was transitioning from 29 to 30. I kept saying, I'm going to go back to school. And my father was the one that said, well, you said that when you graduated from Howard. It's been 7 or 8 years and you haven't done it. That's where the audio did not match the video. I said this is what I wanted to do, but I hadn't applied to any schools. And a matter of fact, I had actually looked into several different programs, got the information, didn't execute on it, and did nothing with it. So the truth was that the audio did not match the video. I was saying one thing, but I was doing something completely different. And that did not allow me to actually execute and move forward where I wanted to move. So if you guys can go to the Q&A at the bottom, so let's see, guys, I'm going to see if the chat is working now. Okay, the chat feature probably still is not working, but let's see if the Q&A feature is working. Archie, can you have the attendees place questions in the Q&A? Okay, answer log. Yeah, so what Daryl is telling me, guys, is if you can place your answers in the Q&A function, maybe that can be a workaround as well. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, because it looks like Morgan actually is typing yes, and Daryl is typing a question to him. So let's try that as well and see if that's working. Michelle said, okay, believe in chat remains disabled. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Michelle was trying to help us out too, but the chat is still disabled, so we can't figure that out, but maybe the Q&A will work. And if it doesn't, then we'll keep using the text, but we're going to keep moving on. You know
Yes,
why?
the chat feature need to be enabled in the very beginning, and that's why it's not working. We can't do that unless we come out of this and go back in. So that's the reason the Q&A should suffice. So we can ask persons to go in the Q&A feature at the bottom, and they should be able to communicate that way. Let's see if that works.
All right, got it. And I'm actually participating as well. So Michelle just said, hey, and then I said, hi. So let's see if that actually is going to work as well. I see it on my screen and then Kim, let's see, Kim is trying as well. Hey, Kim, let's see if that works. Continue to shop while saying I need to say, okay, all right, it's working. Yeah.
And remember,
It's working,
everybody,
guys.
that's because under my account, you'll see me. Argie is chatting as me, so that'll be fixed
Yeah.
in the future engagements. But right now, she's chatting as if it's me. So don't get
Okay.
discouraged, guys. It's Argie chatting, not me.
All right, yes, it's me. So my apologies, guys. This is the tech challenges that we tend to have, but we move forward, right? And what is this teaching us? You know, Morgan and I think we have been great models for do it scared, do it stumbling, do it with anxiety, do it with discomfort, but do it. Go forward. Don't. One of the things that I said, you know, that was in the background, if I asked like what was holding you back, one of them was I'm going to wait until it's the right time. And it might not never be, it might not ever be the right time, that core question, but do it anyway. So I'm reading Kim said, KD said, I've always wanted to start a business to help people get access to better healthcare. I'm still working for the man, procrastination. So let's go, Kim, let's go. Let's get it done. Put together the business plan. I don't know, and you all know that Kim is such, and it means so much to me, KD, In my life, I got a lot of Kims in my life, if you will. Morgan's sister's name is Kim. My sister's name is Kim. My bestie's name is Kim, KD. My other bestie, well, Melissa's my bestie too, but not Kim. But I got a lot of Kims in my life that I care deeply about. What I would say, and we call her KD, you have been such an amazing blessing to so many people, and that can be scaled in phenomenal ways, but it's never going to happen if you keep telling yourself that you're not enough, or you keep telling yourself that you can't do it, or you keep procrastinating. So we got to get off the couch and or the bench, proverbial bench, and get in the game. Francine says, I continue to shop while saying I need to clean out my closet. So what I hear from that is that somehow, for whatever reason, purging has become a barrier. Like you've not been able to purge, and you continue to shop. And for people that say, I'm overwhelmed and I'm in all this clutter, the clutter sometimes in our home is indicative of the chaos in our head. I'm going to say that one more time. The clutter that's in our home or in our physical spaces is indicative sometimes of the chaos that's in our head. And so sometimes we have to methodically do the necessary work to clear out the cobwebs and the chaos in our head to then focus on what it is that we need to focus on. But again, this is an exercise of you saying, does the audio match the video? Is what I'm saying, does that match what I'm actually doing? And if there is no alignment and what you're saying does not match what you're doing, then guess what? Who's in charge of that recalibration? Nobody else can do it from you. Nobody, Dr. Argie, Anyanla, nobody can fix that for you. You have to fix that for you. And it's going to take time. But guess what I say to my clients when they come into therapy and they say, Dr. Argie, how long is this going to last? I say, well, how long did it take for you to get to this place that you finally decided to step up and prioritize you and do the work necessary to get you to where you want to be? So you want to fast track that, but the chaos, the drama, the inconsistencies, the disruptions, the dysfunction, all that dragged out for many years, but now you want to fast track your healing? How about we focus on taking good care of the process of your healing so that the healing not only is intentional and deliberate, but so that it lasts. So, that's one of the things that is important, but I want you all to take this with you because I'm going to give you some stuff to practice after this time that we have together. Kimberlyn she said, similar story. My intentions for a postgraduate degree did not align until later when I allowed my voice and actions to be aligned before my oldest son received his degree. Accountability was for me and for my children to be inspired. I love, love, love that story, Kimberlyn, because, the truth is, and we got a lot of deltas on this series. So this is good too. We're going to get our other Divine Nine folks on here as well. But here's the truth. If we are going to do the necessary things to allow ourselves to move forward, I'm going to move this back. Hold on a second, guys. I lost my place there. Do the necessary things to allow ourselves to move forward. Then not only does the audio match the video, but we're going to have some hard conversations with ourselves. And there usually will be what I like to call an accountability gap. What is that? Many people definitely want to change, but intention without action keeps us stuck. And insight without action changes nothing. So I want you to be able to identify where the gap is that is between your intention, what you intended to do, and your action, what you actually did. Let's pause there for 1 minute. And I want to just post this to Tracy, one of my sorors as well, that's on. She said, I desire to be in bed by 9:30 so I can get rest needed to train hard at my age, but cannot sustain that practice. So great gap, actually. That's a perfect example of a gap. Tracy says her name is Maureen, but we call her Tracy. She said she desires to get to bed? How many of us desire or have an intention to do something, but then we stay stuck in inaction? And if we have the insight, right, but it doesn't transform into deliberate action, literally a call to action, then nothing changes. And of course, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Put in the chat, like, well, I say chat, but the Q&A, like, what is the one thing that is the gap that does not bridge you to the thing that you want? So Tracy, for example, said it's getting in the bed. That's your intention. Start setting an alarm to do it. Also, set people, in close proximity that want you to win in that area that will remind you of what you said. Similar to what my father said. It was literally 7 years, and he reminded me of what I said. And he said, and I'm telling the story a little bit early, he said, I didn't say it. Like Tracy, what she's saying about, getting in bed, sometimes the things that we say, we forget that people are listening. And then people are holding us accountable. But it's not enough for other people to hold us accountable. Morgan says this to me all the time. He's like, listen, I wish I could do what you do, but I can't. And so therefore, if it's going to happen, you're going to do it. And by the way, this is not a thing. We don't go to our greatness. We don't elevate to where God has called us to. We don't ascend to the place where we are designed to be without sacrifice. So that goes back to that core question of what's holding you back. Maybe it's not wanting to sacrifice, or maybe it's wanting to stay comfortable, but change and growth is uncomfortable. Tracy will tell you that because she works out a lot. Sometimes you got to work to the level of discomfort to get more comfortable, right? And if there's no pain, then there's no gain sometimes. And Tracy says, I got to make it happen from the top of the day and stop the BS. Absolutely. Have that conversation with yourself. Katie says, so focused on personal relationships, and I keep making mistakes. Okay. Also showing up for others and not myself. Why? My need to be liked. Ooh, that's a good one, Katie. That is a good one. I'm sorry, I moved away from what I was talking about, accountability gap. That's a good one. So how many of us are similar to KD, where we're so focused on trying to be people pleasers? We're so focused on wanting to make other people comfortable. We're so focused on not wanting to be rejected that we've tended to prioritize everybody else but ourselves. And when we do that, we put ourselves at the back of the line, or we put ourselves at the bottom of the rung, and we don't do the necessary things to give us, to move us to where we want to be, right? And I don't think that Katie is by herself. I know for sure that I have been a person that's wanted to be liked as well, especially when I was younger. Now, I kind of don't care as much as I used to. But in the past, I did. I cared a lot. And I wanted people to like me in a way that caused me to put myself last. And then I had to ask myself, at the end of the day, if you're not prioritizing yourself, then who will? Probably not many people will do this. So therefore, you have to do it. And the first relationship, I mean, if you're a believer, then of course you have your source and you have your relationship with God. But the second is your relationship with yourself. And then you can branch out and have healthy relationships with other people. But if you're constantly giving your power away, it's not going to work. So think about your accountability gap, right? Think about, is there a gap between your intention and your action? And what does that gap actually look like? And then start working on it. For Tracy, it looks like stop BSing and do what she said she was going to do. Does your word match the action? Your word is your bond anyway. But the truth is, the reason why we're doing this accountability is masterclass is because I realized that people are lying to themselves. We don't just lie to other people, we lie to ourselves all the time. We say one thing, we do another. We say we're always on time, but we're always late. We say we're going to go back to school, but we haven't applied. We say we're going to write the book, but we haven't penned anything. And so stop it. We got to stop it because time is running out. And the worst thing that we can do is run out of one way, right? This means giving our power away. Avoidance, huge. How many of us, and this is the gap that we're talking about, we're avoiding having the hard conversations. We're avoiding doing what we need to do for ourselves. We're putting everybody else first above ourselves, or people pleasing. People pleasing is a thing, usually because people don't want to feel rejected or don't want people to feel like they're not supporting them. How many times have we found ourselves actually doing something that we said that we do not want to do, right? How many times have we found ourselves in a place? We showed up at the party, we didn't even want to be there. We showed up at the event because somebody asked and we didn't know how to say no. And we say no, sometimes out of fear versus yes, out of love. We have to begin the art of saying no. It is actually, guys, a complete sentence. I see Tamara has joined. Hey, Tamara, welcome to the masterclass. This is your accountability masterclass. This is your opportunity, right, to do what you need to do. I think that Francine said, yes, remaining in the support role too long and not starting my own goals. Very, very true for most of us, Francine. That support role, I mean, I think we all get that, honestly, quite frankly, where someone has said and validated us, whether it be in church or school or our communities or our Divine Nine organizations, somebody said like, hey, you're doing great at that. And so we continue to be the caregivers and we're supporting and affirming and caring for everyone else and not ourselves. So what does that look like? Giving the power away? Over functioning. And guess what? I learned this a long time ago. As long as we overfunction, the majority of the people that we're in close proximity are going to underfunction. It is not going to be this where I reciprocate and give to you. We call it give and take. I give to you, you take. You give to me, I take. It's not going to be that. If you overfunction and you start getting validated for overfunctioning, for doing everything, you're the first one to raise your hand. You're the first person to volunteer. You're the first person to show up. You do all the work. You leave the space. You go someplace else. You do all that work. Guess what? People are not malicious. What you have done is you've just socialized them to actually underfunction while you overfunction. And how many of you are guilty of just doing it because you're like, they're not going to do it right anyway. So I'll just do it myself. And what does that do? Over time, you're getting your reps in, but you're getting your reps in the wrong way. You're getting their reps in by doing and externalizing all of your energy and not getting any of that energy back. And then wondering, why am I so tired? Why am I so fatigued? Why am I so overwhelmed? Why is it that every time someone asks how I'm doing, I'm just literally and figuratively exhausted? Aren't you tired of giving all of that power away? Aren't you tired of not speaking up for yourself? So not just avoidance, people pleasing and overfunctioning, but silencing yourself, not speaking up. And I'm not talking about speaking up because you want to you're in a fight with everyone. There is a way to to confront something without being confrontational. Some people don't know the art of communication. There are things that we can get by the way in which we communicate that we'll never be able to get if we're reactive versus reflective. But first you have to understand what is it that's happening for you, and then what is the best way to communicate that and elevate your voice. Sometimes it's in the moment, but sometimes it's to take a step back and then think, all right, what is it that I really want to communicate? What is my end goal? Let me start with that qualifier and let me communicate to the best of my ability in a way that shares that sentiment. And then lying to ourselves. Of course, I said that already. Like, stop it. Tracy says, stop BSing. Stop it. Stop lying to yourself and telling yourself that you actually are doing the thing that you know that you're not doing, right? Because that is the thing that is going to continue that pattern. And as long as you continue that holding pattern, you're not going to ascend or descend. You might have to say, I'm done. I'm finishing with that. I no longer want to do that. I want to do something else, right? So instead of saying, aren't you tired? Say, isn't it painful? Is it not painful for you to keep circling the block, saying what you're going to do, never doing it, being embarrassed because you haven't done it? And someone keeps saying, like, what happened with the business? What happened with the book? Even what happened with the relationship? I know that that's not totally up to us because we're dealing with another person. But in April, I'm sorry, 25th, I'm actually going to be doing a relationship boot camp that helps us to be in healthier relationships. It's going to be filled with communication exercises. It's not just for couples. We're going to do one for couples, but this one on April 25th, the relationship boot camp is 4 hours now. We're going to do a hybrid. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but a hybrid. So there have 10 slots that's going to be here in the office in person, and they're going to be those slots for those who can't be here but want to do it online. And that's going to be all about, let's not just be truthful with ourselves, but let's learn the skills to be truthful with everyone else. Even if the relationship ends, okay, we've had an honest conversation, but what if the relationship also could get better? We got to stop waiting for the right time. The time is now to get our power back so that we're not running out of runway, literally and figuratively. So here's an exercise that I want all of us to focus on right now. And I call it the power leak audit. Where is your power leaking right now? Put it in the chat. Avoidance, fear, silence, people pleasing, those are just a few. But where is your power leaking? If you had a gas leak, you would call the gas company. If you had a water leak, you would call the water company. If you had a leaky valve, you would go to the doctor to fix that leaky valve because otherwise you would die. Leaks don't work for any of us. And a power leak doesn't work because we're constantly giving our power away. So you have to literally and figuratively do something different. So if it's avoidance, you got to stop avoiding. If it's fear, you have to understand what you're fearing. And then you have to actually recalibrate that or reverse engineer it and face it, not forget it, forget everything and run, or face everything and remain. If it's silence, start speaking up. If it's people pleasing, start saying no. Those are the things that you can literally do to plug the leak, but you cannot do any of that if you actually don't know. Put it in the Q&A, put it in the Q&A chat. Let's see if I can see. Let's see. Francine said, and the calendar has traveled 10 years with I'm singing the same tune. Okay, and the calendar. So tell me a little bit more about that. Francine, when you say the calendar has traveled 10 years with I'm singing the same tune, what is the same tune? What's the tune that you have been telling yourself? Remaining in the support role, is that the tune? Or is it not paying attention to yourself? Is that the tune? Is it not actually leaning into your joy? Is that the tune? Let us know, because we do sing the same song to ourselves and the years roll around over and over and over again. And by the way, usually while we're singing the same tune to ourselves, people actually, I don't know if you've noticed this, but sometimes people will stop talking. If they see that you're actually, because I've done it to people, I'm just stop talking. If you're like not going to listen, or if you're just coming and saying the same thing over and over, and I will listen. I will always listen to the people that I care about deeply, but I'm not necessarily going to weigh in or gauge it if you're not going to actually execute. Francine said avoidance. Okay, so that is where her power is leaking. Avoidance and procrastination. Excellent. KD, avoidance, fear, and people pleasing. Excellent. Putting others first is what Francine said. So do you see here when you name it? Sometimes it's just literally about naming it. Really, quite frankly, claiming it in order for you to be doing something else different. Tracy says, just like you said, lying about the actual action. Ken said, her husband said, just do it. So, and she put in capital letters, guys, go to bed, right? I had to actually tell myself to do that sometimes, like shut it down. And by the way, I'm just put this in here as a bonus. The what I'm gonna call it, the doom scrolling that happens in social media, that might not be you, Tracy. I don't know what's keeping you up, but sometimes that is just putting toxins in our head. And the algorithms are literally set up to keep us engaged and keep us addicted and not silent, not like calm our brains down. I won't say silence, but calm our brains down for us to actually do something different. Okay, so now you know where your power is leaking, right? You know what's how you're giving away your power, right? You know exactly what you're doing to not help yourself. So look in the mirror, and I probably should have told you guys this, so you might not have a mirror near you, but if you happen to do it, we're in this office, we do have a nice little mirror. Take your phone out. Doesn't have to be the mirror. Take your phone out, put it on camera, and look at yourself. This is called the accountability mirror. And I want you to look honestly at your life. Where are you out of alignment? That means the audio doesn't match the video. What what truth are you avoiding? And I want you to go deeper. Don't list just the thing that you've already said. We know that you're a people pleaser. We know you might be procrastinating. You know that you have said things to yourself that maybe are not in alignment. That's perfectly fine. But, you know, gotcha. But this out of alignment part, think about when you're going to a chiropractor. You are in pain, literally, because your spine is out of alignment. Now, chiropractors are very, very scary, right? They're scary because they do things with your neck and they manipulate your back and they crack your back in some ways and they try to get you back in alignment. And usually it's painful before you get some relief. But once you get that relief, then you're moving differently. And that's what I'm simply saying to you. If you guys have this mirror, I want you to actually look in that mirror and say, and put this in the chat. Where are you out of alignment? What truth are you avoiding? And what decision have you delayed? Some of you already said, maybe it's the business like KD is talking about. But what is that? What decision has your actions led to that has not allowed you to live out the best version of your life? Because what is the best version of your life? Let's talk about that. Because I don't think people often know. I've literally asked people this, and people have asked me that question as well. What do you want? What do you want? And what are you doing to get what you want? But more importantly, what are you doing? What decisions are you making to delay what you want? Because I always say delayed doesn't mean denied. And I believe that. But I do believe also that delayed will delay the life that you are trying to live. It will delay the growth that needs to happen to transform your life and to move you into a healthier place. So whatever you say in terms of what you're expressing, whatever issue, is it painful enough? I don't know if y'all actually heard this story, but it's the story of this dog. And the dog kept whimpering, and these guys would always sit on the stoop, and they were like, "What's going on with the dog?" And they were like, "Well, I think he's sitting on a nail." And then the next day, the dog was still there, and he was still whimpering. They was like, "Dad, what's going on with that dog?" And the guy said, "I think he's sitting on a nail." Third day, dog is still there, still whimpering. And then the guy said, "Huh, what's going on with the dog?" And the guy said, "You know what? Not only is he sitting on the nail, but when the nail gets too painful, he'll get up." And the question for you, all of us, is how painful does it have to get when you look in the mirror? Because when you look in the mirror, not everybody actually has to love you or like you. Not everybody has to support you or affirm you. Not everybody has to do anything for you. But you need to look in the mirror and like and love what you see. Shirley Ralph Hughes talks about this. Do you look in the mirror? And she actually is an actress, but she had many, many years of a beautiful career, and then it began to really, really soar over the last couple of years. And so she often will say, do you love what you see? Do you like what you see? And if you don't love and like what you see, then you are more than likely out of alignment. You are more than likely not speaking the truth to yourself. You are more than likely avoiding something that you need to stop avoiding. And you're more than likely delaying the beautiful life that you are designed and destined to actually live. Right. And so Tracy says, like, oh, okay, got you. I thought that was somebody else texting me through the chat, but I need to say, put messages in the Q&A, not the chat, to try not to confuse you guys here, if you will. So I want to go back to a timeline exercise. And I want to do this specifically because in a lot of ways, we have key moments in our lives that have actually been teachable moments. And we got to think about when the accountability changed direction for us, or quite frankly, when not being accountable changed direction for us, what decisions shaped where we're at today. And that can be a painful process. And I'm not necessarily trying to, in this session, drudge up things, old things, but I do think that it's important for all of us to go down memory lane a little bit, because sometimes, as my mother used to say, your past catches up with your present and interferes with your future. And in the present moment, if you do the timeline, because sometimes we have the moments where we can think about, like, how did I get here? What happened? What decisions did I make? What were the key moments that got me here? And what maybe were the key moments where I actually said, nope, nope, I'm not doing it. Nope, I'm not moving forward. Nope, I'm not focusing on me. Nope, I'm not actually going to engage, get back in a dating game, right? Nope, I'm not actually going to go back to school. What are the key moments where you said no to yourself? Be honest with yourself. Hold yourself accountable. If it was just too scary to be vulnerable because you felt like you told yourself everybody is a liar, and so everybody is untrustworthy, so therefore I'm not going to put myself out there. That perhaps was the moment where not being accountable for your actions changed the trajectory of your life. And you may find yourself now in a position where you're not getting what you want out of life, but nobody's knocking on your door, literally, figuratively, to change that trajectory. That's not happening. As our spiritual dad says, Gene Austin Jefferson, that's not happening. No one is going to literally knock on your door and say, hey, you're not holding yourself accountable. Let's get busy. Let's get moving. Let's do something different. You have to actually have the conversation with yourself and say, are these decisions shaping where I'm at today? And what accountability moment might still be waiting for me to get in the game? And if that's going back to school, what are you going to do about it? If it's starting a dating app, if you want to date, what are you going to do about that? So this is where we go get to the place of, like, action. What are you going to do? And redefining accountability, because a lot of times, people define accountability in a different way. As opposed to saying that it's a good thing, they say, oh, you're just punishing yourself or punishing somebody else. It's not about punishment. It's not about shame or blame. As we agreed to earlier in this session, it's about agency. It's about alignment. It's about choice. And I want to stay there for a minute, because agency in particular is the ability to ground yourself around who and whose you are? Can you verbalize that? And the verbalization of that is not just speaking it out externally, it is speaking life into you. It is inserting good vibes and good vibration and energy inside of you. That's the agency that I'm talking about, that accountability should equal, so that you walk in the room and that you are properly aligned. The audio matches the video. You are who you say you are. You do what you say you're going to do. You're operating in that elevated state. You believe in yourself. So you're thinking one thing, the thought matches the belief that actually matches the action. And you literally every single day are executing at the highest level of vibration for yourself. That's agency. When you're able to have that agency, then you're able to be aligned. And that alignment is very, very key. It allows you to be vertical and horizontal at the same time. Vertical means you are connected with your source, right? Horizontal means you're connected with people who are in close proximity that want you to win, not connected with people who do not want you to win, not connected with people who are the naysayers, not connected with people who actually haven't done the work, but they want you to do the work or have unrealistic expectations. It's in alignment both vertically and horizontally. And then that allows you to make good choices and allows you to make the choices that are going to move you forward with the proper accountability and the proper movement, the proper pace, the proper cadence, if you will. So I'm going to introduce you and tell me if this is in the chat, if this makes sense to you guys. We know that I know that it makes sense because I've been saying these things for a very long time, but I want to know if this is relevant to your life, the alignment that you are working on within your life. And put that, if you all can, in the Q&A so that I can see it as we move towards the, and I get it, okay. Put it in the Q&A as we're working towards this courageous conversations accountability framework, right? There are 4 things that I want you to remember and clearly put it in the Q&A, not the chat, the Q&A. Awareness, acceptance, alignment, and action. Well, what is awareness? Interestingly enough, excuse me, God. Interestingly enough, I think that we are operating in a lack of awareness too often. So I want to process awareness to make sure that we are on the same page. Because the first step of accountability is to be honest with yourself. We definitely do lie to ourselves, right? Then what am I avoiding is lack of awareness. If you don't know what you're avoiding, then how can you change it? The where am I out of alignment, you have to be aware as well. If you don't know where you're out of alignment, then how are you going to get back in alignment? What conversation am I postponing, right? The postponement of that conversation might never happen if you are not actually aware of it. There are too many people that I know of that I've worked with, including myself. I'm not throwing everybody else under the bus and not talking about myself as well. I postponed many conversations. I happen to be the queen of courageous conversations. And sometimes I'm like, do I really want to have that conversation? Because the conversation might be that this relationship has come to an end, that I've kept the relationship past its expiration date. And nobody really wants to hear that. Or the conversation might be, I'm needing more space in order to focus my energies on something else, and I can't be present in the way you might want me to be present. It could be a number of different things. The conversation that you're postponing might be with yourself saying, hey, listen, you have not served yourself very well. You have done all the things for everyone else, but not yourself. That's an awareness. If y'all remember, and I say this sometimes in the podcast, that it was a movie called School Days, and Lawrence Fishburne at the end of all this chaos went to the yard and he just yelled, wake up. I don't know if it was Lawrence Fishburne or the other one. But anyway, the point is that we've got to wake up and we've got to become more aware. And we can't be asleep at the wheel because it's wearing us out. And if we're not operating in our full potential, then we're also not creating impact for other people because people are gleaning from our vibration. So awareness is that moment where you stop pretending that everything is fine and you start getting in the game and doing the necessary things that you need to do, right? And so Tracy, she says, yes, thought connects to action and action connects to manifested vibration. It becomes clearer in my daily stillness. I love that, Tracy. I love that very much. For those of you, put in the Q&A, in the Q&A, if there's a part of awareness that is becoming more illuminated for you, if there's a part of your awareness that is coming into vision for you, if there's a part of becoming more aware that is a little bit of an aha moment for you, I think it's important because if you don't know, Dr. Maya Angelou said, I did the best that I knew how to do. And when I knew better, I did better. So the knowing better, you got to get to awareness in order to know better. And then once you get to awareness, then you can get to acceptance. Now I'm going to spend a little bit of time on acceptance right now because I think it's key in this framework, this accountability framework. Acceptance is huge. When I tell you guys, acceptance is huge because it is a painful thing to live your life in resistance. Now, interestingly enough, if you're a fighter, if you're an advocate, if you're an activist, if you will, then many of you, will say resist the lies, resist discrimination, resist when people are othering you, resist all of that. I get that. And I've been an advocate and I've been an activist and I've stood up for many things that were inequitable in this world. And Lord knows we got a lot of inequitable things going on these days. But that's not the point of resistance that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the resistance that you have inside of you, where you wake up every day resisting your reality, telling yourself that it's not what it is. Acceptance really means owning your role without shame. Acceptance is healing, right? And sometimes what we do is we resist when it's our fault. We did it or we didn't do it. We said we were going to do something and we didn't do it. We chose that relationship that we knew was not good for us. We opted out of something we should have opted into. We decided to sit on the sidelines. We got to own that and then understand that our choices matter exponentially. We are, in many ways, the trajectory of the choices and the decisions that we make that lead us down a path that sometimes we're not even happy with. But it's important because if you don't honor this, if you opt to continue to resist, it's going to become more painful. And I know that personally. So we've got to ask ourselves, tell ourselves, I am responsible for my next step. That next step is huge, but you can't get to the next step if you're resisting the reality of the steps that didn't get you to where you want to be. So acceptance is where excuses end and responsibility begins. That's why this framework is so important. And guys, we can get stuck right here. I've worked with people for many years that get stuck at the point of acceptance. They're like, nope, I'm resisting it. It doesn't feel good. It hurts to actually say the words that I set myself up. It hurts to actually say the words that it is on me that I made that poor choice for a relationship, or I made that poor choice to not do the thing I knew that would get me to where I wanted to be. That's on me. But what I'm saying is acceptance with grace, not acceptance with being punitive or condescending or blaming and shaming, acceptance with grace. KD says, pause for a minute, my insecurity brought brought on by past hurts has left me running in circles. I realized I could have made better or different decisions as I related to people, both romantic and otherwise. So good, because that's what I'm talking about, Katie. I'm talking about the awareness first and foremost, right? And then the acceptance of not resisting that message that you just said, which my hunch is that you were resisting saying, hey, that's on me, that for many years I was actually insecure about my past. And as a result, I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do. And I was in that holding pattern. And then I could have made different decisions, but I chose not to. Fine. That doesn't mean that you stay stuck there. That doesn't mean that you get paralyzed there. That doesn't mean that you keep blaming and shaming yourself. It just means that you have the awareness, you get to acceptance, and then you get to the good stuff. You get to alignment, which we've been talking about. And I use the example of the chiropractor. That's when your values and your words and your actions match, right? And you have to then ask yourself the question, do my actions reflect my values? What are your values? Can you guys put in the Q&A, what are your values? What do you see as your values that you've actually been telling everybody else and maybe not necessarily in alignment with yourself? What are your key values? Put 3. I'm going to challenge you today. Put 3 key values in the Q&A, and then ask, does my schedule reflect those priorities? So let's say, for example, my value is that I believe that we must get rest. Well, do you actually overschedule yourself with so many other things that people want you to participate in that you don't get home time enough? Talking about Tracy, my soror Tracy, when she was talking about time, that then the value of rest does not reflect your schedule of your priorities. That's what I'm talking about, being out of alignment, right? Or your behavior. Does my behavior match what I'm saying? The alignment is when the audio absolutely matches the video. So what are the values? We all say that I'm gonna go back here. We all say that we have good values, but those values don't necessarily always reflect that. And hold on a second, try to get to, I'll move farther away. Alignment, this is where I'm at. So if the value is rest, what if the value is healthy relationships? I'm going to stick here for a moment. If the value that you have is to be in healthy relationships, I'm going to challenge you, because KD talked about this, then why are you in unhealthy ones? If the value that you have is that you believe that we need to be in healthy relationships, then why are you in unhealthy ones? I'm going to tell you the reasons why. There are 3 L's that people stay in unhealthy relationships. Sometimes it's loyalty, sometimes it's legacy, and sometimes it's longevity. We're going to unpack those 3 L's on April 25th in the Relationship Bootcamp. We're going to be doing some exercises around those 3 L's: loyalty, legacy, and longevity. But suffices to say, in short order, no one should stay in unhealthy relationships past their expiration date if people are unkind to you, if they are abusive to you, if they are neglectful of you, for those 3 reasons. So if your value, again, is healthy relationships, but either you're in a toxic relationship where someone else is devaluing you, or you're the toxic person where you're devaluing someone else, whatever it is, that is not in alignment with what you say your value is about healthy relationships. Because in order to be in a healthy relationship, quite frankly, you have to do the work. We all have to do the work. We have to elevate our communication skills. We have to elevate our relational skills. We have to elevate our engagement skills. We certainly have to elevate our conflict resolution skills, because you cannot be in close proximity with anyone and then not know how to manage conflict. And that starts sometimes with the conflict that's inside of us, first and foremost. So if you're experiencing painful relationships, you're experiencing relationships that don't serve you very well, perhaps April 25th is good for you, right? which is going to be the relationship boot camp for anybody that is in any kind of relationship, not just a love and romantic relationship, your friends, your family, a partner, a coworker, colleague. If you're just wanting to learn how to show up different in relationships and be in proper alignment, then there's going to be opportunity for you guys to join that as well or to share it as well. Let's see. Maureen Tracy says solitude with God first. First thing, exercise my body and mind daily and being present. Those are the values that she has. And so, yes, that's great, Tracy, because I want you to make sure that those values then line up with all of your actions. And if they do, great. You're operating and movement and moving in your alignment. If they do not, and again, she said solitude with God first, exercising her body and mind daily, and then being present. So those are the things that she can do, right? So gotcha. Morgan was saying he's going to put something in the chat, but I don't know, or the Q&A. Gotcha, Morgan, who's been telling me not to say chat this whole time. So he's going to put information about our Patreon in there. And he's also going to put, when we get to it, the link for the event on April 25th. So I see some more folks. It looks like some more folks have joined, maybe, or maybe it's some more chat. I see more people in the chat. Okay. Okay, so Kimberly said prioritize. That is a value of hers. Michelle said courage, faith, and community are her 3 values. And she says, I'm definitely out of alignment in some of those areas, especially with how I deal with myself. And she puts myself in capital letters. So that's work, right? Like we're going to be all this year, 2026. Literally, we're going to be, I believe it's going to be March 30th. We're going to have a book. We're going to book launch. You're going to see information about that on social media. And then April 23rd, we're also going to have a book tour at another place. We'll be on book tour by that time. And we're going to be talking about these things, right? So you're going to see a whole lot more things out there with regards to how we deal with ourselves and how we have courageous conversations with ourselves and with others, if you will. But Michelle, I love it. Courage, faith, and community. But let's get in alignment with how you deal with you. KD said courage, healthy relationships, and maybe because I'm not healthy myself, is what KD said. So I hear a lot of themes here. I don't know if you guys are hearing it, but there's a lot of themes related to how we're dealing with ourselves, how we're not valuing ourselves, even though we say that we are. And this is what this accountability masterclass is all about. It's getting real with yourself. Melissa said, add another L. Okay. They are lying to themselves, not facing truth and making excuses. I would say we all do that. Yes, absolutely. So the add another L is lying, if you will, to yourself as well. And then KD says, definitely have to manage my communication skills. Also, honesty. If something bothers me, I need to speak my truth without fear of losing people. Absolutely. This is some good stuff, you guys, right? Because that fear is paralyzing. And the truth, I believe, and you guys can test it out for yourself, is if you can lose them, then you need to. So there should not be any fear about loss of people, because if you're in a stage of your life.
Argie, can you repeat that again? Please, that was a mic drop. Don't go over that. You need to say that again, please.
So Morgan wants me to say this word again so you guys can write it down. Probably you need to write it down in your phone or what have you. But if you can lose them, you need to. This is what I said, right? And Melissa was saying that, the fourth L will be lying. Loyalty, legacy, longevity, and lying. Those things we're going to unpack in more detail in April 25th, why we stay in these unhealthy relationships. But the truth is, if you can lose the relationship or if you can lose the person, then you need to. Then the alignment might be in letting go. Y'all know that Mel Robbins has that book out called the Let Them Theory. Well, I fundamentally believe that sometimes we have to lean into, like lean, that's the fifth L, into let them. That's the sixth L, I guess, right? Let them. If that, if the timing is not right and you speak your truth and a person can't hear it for whatever reason, then you got to let that go because that opens up space for what other opportunities. And sometimes we're doing ourselves in because we're staying in a holding pattern in unhealthy relationships that have not served us well, sometimes for years, and we are unwilling to let them go. So again, if you can lose them, then you need to. And if them and you are willing to, I call it the F word. I got a lot of F words. I got L's, I got T's, I got F. One of the F words is both, well, two of the F words is forgiveness and fight. Forgiveness and fight. Because if you have a hard or courageous conversation with someone and that person is willing to fight for the relationship, not a fight against it, but fight for the relationship, then you can embark on forgiveness because maybe you got a blind spot or they got a blind spot. Do your forgiveness work and then fight for it. You can't wage a fight by yourself. The fighting for a relationship needs to be a two-partner deal where you're doing it together to elevate the relationship to another level. And so that's, again, that's the stuff that we're going to unpack because some of us are in very unhealthy relationships. They're painful relationships, and we don't know how to navigate those relationships. Francine said also, I want to make sure I get everybody's comments, out of alignment, the first step hasn't been taken, which is courage. I love that. And so, yeah, this is good. This is good stuff, guys. So we covered the alignment part. The last one, I think we've been really kind of covering it without saying so, is action. Take action now. Take action on something. Don't stay in a holding pattern. Don't get lost in being paralyzed, because sometimes we get the paralysis of analysis, right? Paralysis of analysis is we are literally paralyzed in our own head. We are literally ruminating and perseverating and posturing and telling ourselves all these negative things, stinking thinking in our own heads, and it does not allow us to move forward. So the accountability requires that we do something. I said this a little bit earlier. If we do what we always did, we'll get what we always got. And if nothing changes, then nothing changes. So we have to have I heard this and I saw this somewhere in the chat. We have to have courage to move. We have to have consistency to stay the course. And then we have to have the follow through to keep going, which is not easy, which is what happens where people start trailing off and they say, well, I started. Well, that's an excuse. The starting, it's not that you started, it's actually that you stay the course and that you finish whatever it is that you started. And sometimes if you don't finish because whatever has happened, you delayed it, you procrastinated, you didn't do what you needed to do. Okay, call that done, get on a new course and keep moving. But don't be a serial starter. A serial starter is someone who starts these projects over and over and over again so that they can be perpetually moving, but they're not moving the needle, they're not leveraging, and they're not progressing. And if you're not moving the needle or moving forward, then you're still staying stuck. You're just, again, lying to yourself saying that, oh, I'm moving, but you have not made any ground. Gotcha. So this courage idea, again, the taking action is about being in whatever courageous conversation. Y'all know in the book, the first chapter is radical self-care and action, because you can't have these healthy relationships. I mean, for some of us, the relationships are so unhealthy, quite frankly, because we're unhealthy. I think KD mentioned that a little bit earlier. We're unhealthy. And so when we're unhealthy, we can't have that courageous conversation with ourselves. And of course, for me, I have the queen of courage, the queen of courageous conversations that connect, the queen of having those hard conversations. But it's not just enough for me to prompt you to do it. Y'all got to take action, just like I've had to take action with myself and had to hold myself accountable for what it is that I said that I did not do, for the relationships that I said I wanted to have that I did not have, for the things that I said that I was going to be about, and I really wasn't about those things because I was either paralyzed by fear or success, or I procrastinated, and all those things that we've talked about in this time together, right? So Michelle said, action is so important. The answers we seek often come through movement, not sitting and waiting for all the answers to come before the movement. 1,000%, Michelle, 1,000%. Because sometimes that's all we're doing. We're just waiting for the answers, but the answers are actually inside of us, and the answers are actually in the movement to move forward without hesitation. And yeah, as I said a little bit earlier, there's going to be some sacrifices and there's going to be some risk. But I know you guys have heard this: little risk, little reward, big risk, big reward. So, is it worth it? You have to ask yourself that question. Is it worth it for you to move? Is it worth it for you to execute? And how does it really feel to most of us to not move? I call it the 4 T's. So now we got the four L's, we got the 4 T's, we've got the accountability framework, right? With awareness, with action, with accountability. And so here's the 4 T's: truth, trust, and transparency. I'm sure many of you who have worked with me have heard this before. It leads to transformational breakthroughs. Why do I say that? I say that because most of us need to have some breakthroughs for us to go to another level. And that requires for us to actually tell ourselves the truth. Melissa mentioned this to me before when she talked about the lying to ourselves, right? And we do this quite a bit. We lie to ourselves, we lie to other people, but it requires truth first and foremost. First to ourselves and then to others. This particular accountability masterclass has really been about you and I just having this courageous conversation here today to come to a reckoning, to reconcile what we've been lying to ourselves about and to be truthful. And then we can be truthful to others, of course. And that truth is that maybe we've been avoiding, or maybe what conversations need more honesty, or what is the doorway to change. All of that we can set up to let us get to the place of trust, which grows when the words and the actions match. Then there's more trust. Because if we're going to be honest, and this is about an honest conversation right now, that most of us don't even trust ourselves. So how are you going to trust somebody else if you don't even trust yourself? How are you going to be in alignment if everything that you do is kind of out of whack, or a lot of things are out of whack or out of alignment? And we've been resisting putting in the work. So that self-trust is key, because truth be told, many of us have operated in this hypocritical status where we want other people we want to be able to trust other people. We want them to be able to trust us. And yet we're lying to ourselves every day, being hypocritical. So ask yourself, do you keep your promises? That is absolutely key. Do you keep your promises to yourself? Or do you promise yourself that you're going to, let's go with, it's March. I think it's March. Yeah, it's March. Did you say something to yourself? I don't know about the New Year's resolutions, but did you say you were going to do something in 2026 and you started it and then you lied to yourself and you didn't do it? Do your actions reflect what you say matters most to you? Or do you say that stuff is for everybody else? That stuff matters to everybody else, but really, I'm not worthy of it. That accountability strengthens trust, right? And that's huge. I'm going to pause right there because Tracy said the foundation to help me get to the next level. So we're going to talk about this in terms of the April 21st. We're getting there because we got a few more minutes, and then I'm going to try to open this up for some Q&A. But we'll get there, Tracy, in terms of the accountability or the relationship boot camp. So we got to trust, transparency. We're moving in the direction of transformational breakthroughs. The transparency is the willingness to be seen honestly. The truth is, most of us don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to be naked. We don't want to have the courageous conversations. We want to cover up some of our warts, some of our past, the things that we're not so proud of. But the liberation and the actual movement to the next level of acceleration and elevation is in the transparency. I can tell you, I am drawn to the people, not to tell me that they're so great and they had everything figured out, they didn't have any bumps along the way. I'm drawn to people who share what their pain was, what were their pain points, what were their moments, quite frankly, of misery, where they didn't necessarily know which way to turn, and they had the reckoning that I did some of this to myself. When were those moments where they're being completely honest, and then they're willing to show up with their honesty, vulnerability, and ownership? That's the people that I'm drawn to. Those are the people that I can glean from, because now they've set a blueprint, perhaps a model or a pathway that I might be able to glean from to actually move in a direction that is simply just for me. So needing to own your part and thinking about what are the things that I could have handled better. That's okay. We're not perfect beings. One thing I didn't say a little bit earlier is one of the things that might be a barrier to us moving forward is this weird ideology that I need to be perfect. This perfectionistic syndrome is really messing us up because there's no perfect thing. Like, other than for me, God, that's it. There's no such thing. It is a farce. It is a veneer. There's no such thing as perfection. And so therefore, what we do is we strive to be the best. The bigger question is, in transparency, did I do my best? Did I tell the truth? Did I do what I said I was going to do? Did I show up as the best version of myself in this moment? Not next week, not a week ago, in this moment. And if I did, great. If I can do better, let's go. Let's put the work in, because the transparency creates real connection. That creates connection for me. It creates connection for you. It creates connection that allows us to go to the next level, which is the transformational breakthroughs. Truth plus trust plus transparency leads to the transformational breakthroughs. And the honesty replaces the avoidance. How many of you have avoided so many things, and as soon as you get honest with it, you're like, wow, that wasn't so bad. That was harder. That wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Or I spent so much time, I'm sorry, that's not what I want to say. I spent so much time avoiding the thing because I now created the narrative that it was going to be excruciating. And isn't it, guys, more painful? Isn't it more painful to not do the thing that you've told yourself is going to be excruciating? And now you're experiencing more pain points because you weren't honest with yourself. So being honest replaces avoidance, and then the responsibility replaces the blame. And then the courage replaces the silence. So do you see the formula here? You show up in truth, trust, and transparency. The literal transformational breakthrough to the other side is no longer are you avoiding things. You're showing up with honesty. No longer are you blaming and shaming. You're becoming more responsible. My bad. I did that. My bad. I didn't show up. My bad. I procrastinated. My bad, with grace and empathy, right? Which is a hallmark of this understanding. My bad, I did the best that I thought I knew how to do, but now I know better and I'm going to do better. So I'm going to take full responsibility for the things that are my accountability gaps, and I'm going to get to work. And my bad, I'm no longer silencing myself. I'm no longer sitting on the peripheral. I'm no longer sitting on the bench. I'm no longer going to allow myself to be othered. I'm no longer not going to utilize my voice to elevate not only myself, but others. And that is what courage looks like. That is the courageous conversation that connects. And it allows us to have those transformational breakthroughs that move us to whatever it is, quite frankly, that God wants us to be. So y'all know my story about Howard University. I'm not going to go into deep of that, but y'all know that I didn't go straight there. My journey wasn't straight. I went to community college first, and then I went to Howard University, and I never looked back. But it was the courageous conversation that I had with my dad, and then it was the courageous conversation I had to have with myself that says, self, what are you holding back for? Self, what are you waiting for? Nobody's going to do it but you, so do it. And so then after graduating, of course, I became a little bit more comfortable, and y'all got to be very careful because a lot of people are saying that they enjoy, this is good for you. This conversation is good for you, but be very, very careful of the comfort trap. The comfort trap is, it happened to me. I got comfortable, didn't go back to graduate school for 7 years, and then I had to have another courageous conversation. It should never have been 7 years because that impacted me. What is your comfort trap where you start feeling good from this conversation? Put in the Q&A, what is the thing that you believe could possibly move you to get more comfortable again? You're riled up, you are ready to go, right? And now you leave this session and you go back to the behavior. What is the thing that's going to make you comfortable that you have to challenge yourself not to get comfortable with? I call it the comfort trap. No, I read Michelle. Daryl says, Morgan, not Argie, 3 minutes before the close, Morgan pop.
It's not
I
for
don't
you to
know.
read, Archie. It's not for you to read.
Okay.
It's just for you, for information.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, all right.
My God.
Francine, using the advice that I so freely give to others. Oh, I like that, Francine. Using the advice that I so freely give to others. I think that that's not necessarily the accountability trap, but it's certainly an exercise that you can use to move forward, move yourself forward. For those of you who never really thought about it this way, that there is a trap that can get you stuck, but there's also an opening and a pathway that gets you moving forward, right? And so I want to go back to what my father said. He said, oh, sorry, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm moving in the wrong direction. Let me keep going back. Ooh, let me get to where I was before. Okay, this is where I was. And now I'll go back to my screen. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I got messed up a little bit. Gotcha. Okay, so this is what happens, guys, when I actually have to run my own deck. I apologize for that, but I got to where I needed to be. The courageous conversations that changes your life. You all know my story with my dad. I want you to think about what courageous conversations have changed your life, right? Many people call me the queen of courage, right? What's the point of courage for you? I'm not the only courageous person. I'm just happen to be a person that talks a lot about courage. Who was involved in that conversation with you? What truth did you have to face? And what decision came from that? Because when you kind of frame it this way, then what you start realizing is that you've done it all along. You actually have been helping yourself to move in a positive direction. all along. And then somewhere along the line, you may have paused, you may have found yourself in an accountability trap, you may have reversed engineer, moved backwards, but you can take your power back, as I said in the very beginning, right? And so, with Francine, she says using the advice that she freely gives to others, well, okay, then take that advice. Michelle said, I'm with Francine, the joy of sharing what I've learned with others because I like to serve, but then not using what I've learned to serve myself. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. So that conversation with yourself or with someone else, that's a truth that you have to face. And there's a decision that comes from any conversation that you have to move forward. So the accountability in relationships, healthy relationships requires courageous conversations, and silence creates distance, and clarity builds connection. I'm not going to go through all of that, but I'm going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to ask you all, some of you, if you were on the one before, I used this clip, but for some of you others, you may not have seen this clip before, but it's a clip that I love, and it kind of warms my heart anyway, but it really helps us to think about what do we need to do for ourselves. So I'm going to play this for a moment.
Let a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Are you okay? Yeah. Okay, look at mommy. Look at mama. Okay. I know you smashed your fingers in the door, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, you okay? Yeah. Okay, look at mommy. No. Say, I'm okay. Yeah. Say, I'm strong. I'm strong. Say, I'm beautiful. I'm strong. I'm loved. I'm loved. Say, I'm worthy. I'm worthy. You're beautiful. Thank you, Mom. You're welcome, baby. I love you.
So I play that little clip sometimes because it reminds us that that little girl stomped her finger in the door, but she also had somebody to help her to breathe, help her to reset, help her to remind herself that she's beautiful and she's loved and she's worthy. And which one of us wouldn't want someone to tell us that we're beautiful and that we're loved and that we're worthy and that we're going to be okay, and tell us that they love us? And if we don't have someone to tell us that, if the relationship accountability, there's many of these areas, right? Relationships, then we have to be accountable to ourselves and tell ourselves this first and foremost. And then once we do that, we can move in the right direction. KD, she says, remaining in a state, this is where she's got to hold herself accountable, in a state of growth and being more honest, more transparent, and more accountable for my past mistakes, and remain in a state of growth to get the business off the ground. But first, realize a dream I've had to get my master's degree because it's something I've always wanted to do. I've even looked at classes and prepared, but stopped. Okay, Kim. So then that means that you've got work to do as well, as we all do. I really wanted people to give themselves some grace around this. This little wheel y'all are going to see again, because it's the relationship accountability wheel. And it is kind of a teeing up, if you will, guys, of April 25th, which Tracy asked about. It's a teeing up of what we're going to be focusing on in the accountability, the relationship boot camp on April 25th. We're going to be talking about ourselves, of course. We're going to be talking about our business relationships, our friendships, our family, our romantic relationships. In this whole accountability wheel, we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be a deeper dive with exercises and practice for how we show up differently going forward and how we develop the communication skills to be in better relationships. And so I want to talk about something really different in some ways, realizing your role and the care about the relationship and how we move forward. That's kind of a script that we're going to unpack a little bit more. And I'm going to give you one last exercise to do before we come to an end and we have a little Q&A. This exercise is one conversation you need to have, one commitment you need to honor, and one behavior you're going to change. I want you all to put that in the Q&A. And I want you to think about what happens if you don't act. It's called the 72-hour rule, right? It's when your brain literally returns to comfort within 72 hours. It's because you have chosen, you can choose one courageous action within the next 3 days. But bottom line is when you say this and you don't act on it, then it goes back to, okay, I didn't do anything. So let's just keep it moving. So go back to and put in the chat one courageous conversation or a conversation you're going to have, one commitment you're going to honor, and one behavior you're going to change. And if you guys can put that in the chat, that would be awesome, awesome, awesome. And I'm going to pivot to tell you a little bit more about the masterclass or the relationship bootcamp. April 25th is going to be really fun, right? And interactive. It's going to be a 4-hour workshop on healthy relationships. It's going to be open to anyone. You don't have to be, because a lot of people say, what's the relationship bootcamp? Should I have come with my partner? No, you can come individually. You can come with your partner if you so choose, but we're going to be doing another one in May for people who are in a relationship with a partner, or maybe in a relationship with someone else, because it could be your sibling, it could be your kid. So that is for a dyad, if you will. But this one is for anyone individually that is open to healthier romantic, family, business, familial, friendship relationships. That's on the 25th. It is, Tracy asked about this. It's going to be, the bootcamp pricing is $97 for the virtual. So if you sign on, you click today, it's $97 if you want to do what we're doing, but it's 4 hours, 4-hour intensive. And then there's 10 slots for VIP, and that's $297. And that's for in this office, right where you see me. And we have a new amazing vibe board that we're going to be utilizing so that those people who are in the space can be getting the VIP treatment, if you will, some live coaching even afterwards with me directly. And those who are in the online intensive will be experiencing the same information. So that's going to be the 25th, the relationship bootcamp. You can go to, and Morgan can put it in the Q&A, askdrargie.com/relationship bootcamp is what you would go to actually register. And I would suggest that you do so now, if because I believe that this was just the tip of the iceberg, that there is so much more that we can unpack, that we're going to unpack, and that people are going to leave with actionable tools, actionable steps, actionable strategies, and really an intentional guidelines or guideposts in order to move forward in the healthy relationships, if you will.
Archie, sorry to interrupt you right quick. I need to just give you a little understanding. You can't just put it in the Q&A unless I'm specifically answering a person's question. Remember, I am the host. So it would have to be to an individual, and no one can see my answer or reply to them. So you're gonna have to go to the link on the whatever slide you have to the link, and they can see it there. Okay. Unfortunately, remember the chat situation. We didn't do that up front, so that's the situation there. All right.
Okay. So, all right. So I didn't realize that when I'm actually, when Morgan's responding to the Q&A, it's only that you see that individually. So if you guys can go to askdrargie.com/relationship bootcamp. And we're going to be putting out promotions around this as well. But if you do this today, askdrargie.com/relationship bootcamp. That will take you to the landing page that will allow you to register if you want to be a part of the actual VIP in person. That was $297. Of course, that, it's 4 hours and some coaching afterwards that will probably take you to 5 hours. So I would suggest that you be prepared to get here early. You'll have a little bit of like a little, continental or something. We'll still figure that out. But it's literally going to be from 12 to 4, and then an additional hour for those who are doing the VIP. And that's going to be in live coaching with that group. And that's only slot for 10 folks, if you will. And the other one, if you choose to, will be online like this. And that one is going to be $97. Want to go make sure that I got everybody that said something. Francine said conversations, reminding myself. That's what you put. I can and I'm worthy, and commitment state to start and complete one simple project, and the behavior is stop procrastinating. Excellent, 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 Francine. So again, and then for those of you who y'all are going to see quite a few, y'all going to see quite a few advertisements for the book tour that's going to be kicked off on March 30th, and then again on March 30th and April 23rd. That's a Thursday evening. That is National World Book Day, if you will. So that will be when we'll like literally kicking off the tour. And then 2 days later, on Saturday, April 25th, is when we're going to actually have this relationship boot camp. So we got a lot going on. Maureen Tracy said, CC with myself to get control. A courageous conversation with myself to get control of my time. Yes. And then I commit. The commitment that Tracy said that she was going to do is I commit to not letting myself slide. And I start on Sunday. Yes, 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 yes. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And again, Tracy, I think I answered all your questions about how much for April 25th. She says, I got to put it in my budget now. So definitely put it in your budget. And Tracy said, this is the foundation to help me get to the next level. So thank you, thank you, thank you for joining, all of you. We've got about 2 minutes left to get to the next, and this QR code. I'm gonna leave this here for a second if you guys want to purchase
Argie,
the
can I
book.
just jump in real quick?
Oh, sure.
Listen, guys, I want to just say, we can't thank you enough for participating and joining and finding it, not robbery of your day to come on and really enjoy. If you thought this was powerful to you, don't be selfish. Share it with your family and friends. Don't just keep this your little personal secret. Let folks know this is a movement. We're trying to change the game and the narrative around having these courageous conversations that moves the needle, that will absolutely change your life. The book, Courageous Conversations Connect, does exactly that. We're trying to bring value, and really it's important, if you believe you've been changed, or this has really been helpful to you, share it with family and friends, share the link, come on the podcast, really share this stuff. We're really trying to bring value to everyone. So we're just asking that those who want to attend, spread the gospel, be evangelists. You know the work that Argie puts into this. And we're just asking you guys for support and to help get the message out. So all you can do, I think, Argie, you have a slide for the Patreon. So the Patreon is going to be bringing in more value again on a more regular basis. But it's the private club, the Patreon, or the crew. Some of you may know what the crew is. It's an acronym. Connecting relationships for epic wins. That's the crew. A lot of value, opportunities to be engaged, opportunities on other events that we're going to be bringing to the marketplace. You'll get early access to that. Newsletters, ton of engagement. So listen, guys, if you love it, please support it. Please share the link. Is there another page for the link, Argie, or Patreon?
There's not a page for that now.
Okay, there's no slide for that. Okay, got it. So you got the QR code for the book. And again, we're celebrating. Listen, this book is #1 bestseller. It's Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. 3 categories. #1 in 1 and #2 in 2 others. So again, spread the gospel. We're trying to make this movement a change and make it powerful and to help it to grow and to expand. There's a lot of things on the horizon. We just had a phenomenal meeting the other day that going to actually change the game. Can't give you the secrets about it. Trust me, it's absolutely. I'm jumping out my seat with excitement because I want to share it, but I can't share it right now. But you'll see the movement. You'll see what's happening. Things are going to be moving in a great way. I want to just give a shout out to a couple people. Michelle has been one of those day ones. Michelle been with us through the StreamYard experiences. We've been doing live on StreamYard. We were trying to get through it our own self. It was kind of janky. The technology, neither one of us are tech persons, but now we have a new system. We hired a new social media firm that's helping us to upgrade and up level our game. If you can see, the quality of social media has changed. The reels, listen, this last podcast with Charlie Lewis and his new book, No Apologies. If you didn't have opportunity to do that, please go on the YouTube page, subscribe, gives us thumbs up. Check out that podcast with Charlie Lewis. It's absolutely powerful. Some of the information that's shared with Charlie and the conversation that Argie's having with a number of people. We have some upcoming exciting guests. So the first season has taken place, and we're now beginning to book and shoot for the second season, guys. So check that out as well. So we can't thank you enough for all the support, those who have shown up. And listen, if this has been powerful, tell folks, listen, you guys missed it. This is absolutely changing the game. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Argie, I'll leave it up to you to close out, but thank you so much, guys, for all your support. Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I just wanted to make sure that we got the last minute comments in. Tracy said, thank you for doing this. She said, y'all are bad, Black intellectuals growing us up. So I appreciate that. There were a few more comments that came in a little bit later. Katie said, her one conversation I need to have is with myself to discuss all the ways I've not been honest and transparent and begin to identify my pain points. I need to honor my commitment to immediately organizing my current home to prepare for my move and get my mind and my mom's paperwork in order. So procrastinating, just stop it. She's gonna stop it. Francine said, very excellent. Thank you so much. And Michelle said, thank you, Dr. Argie and Morgan. You both are so generous with your time, knowledge, and heart space. Super appreciated. And Kim gives lots of hearts. So I just want to make sure that I read everyone and I did not leave anybody out. Thank you so much, as Morgan said, for just showing up for yourself and, of course, always supporting us. There's a lot of things that we're doing, as Morgan already said. So choose what you feel is most beneficial to you. I believe it all is going to be helpful. And as he said, we're creating a courageous conversation movement. So it's not just the book, it's movement to get us all to a deeper level. And again, in closing, the life you want is waiting on the accountability that you avoid. So let's just stop and let's just do it today. All right. Guys, we will see you on April 25th or March 30th or April 23rd, or we're going to do something in May as well. So we will see you in the
Tell about the March 30th event. What's happening March 30th? Could you share with that detail?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
yes, I did. And I said that,
All right.
we're going to put it out in social media so everybody will see what's happening. Okay. So again, I know we are a little bit over. We're at 2:05. So I try to be on time with these things because we do not take it lightly that you have chosen to show up for this and basically showed out. So the next step is your life is already speaking. And let's do this work together. All right. We'll see you soon, guys. Take care. Thank you so much.